is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Hello and welcome into That Football Show here on KC Sports Network, presented by our friends at Holiday Distillery and Ben Holiday Bottled in Bond Bourbon. I'm Tucker Franklin, hanging out with Matt Verderame. Matt, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing better than the Chiefs are right now. I'm going to go ahead and guess. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. I mean, look, my Orlando Magic kicked out of the NBA playoffs. Your New York Knicks still kicking it. Good series from the Magic. I don't think I can be too upset. But look, good game 1-2 for the Knicks. I mean, look, they're rolling, they're feeling good. How are you feeling about the series? I guess I should ask.
I feel like they're going to win the series. I felt like that before the series. So game 1 didn't really change my opinion of it. I think a few things have happened with the Knicks that I guess I would say shape my opinion of moving forward. Like Jalen Brunson at this point, it's pretty hard to argue that he's not like a number one on a championship caliber team. Like the guy is scoring 40 a night and he's doing it efficiently. Like it's not like he's shooting 40 times and scoring 40 points. Like I think in game 1 he shot the ball 24, 26 times and scored 40 points. So wow. He's 14 of 14 from the line. They have no other consistent scoring threat on this team right now because Randall's hurt and Bogdanovich is hurt. And now Mitchell Robinson's out for the year. And it just doesn't seem to matter. Like we're about one injury away from me playing 10 minutes. And they just keep winning. So I guess like that leads me to say I couldn't be any more proud of them. But this has been unbelievable. They won 50 games and they're a 2 seed, and everyone on the team has been hurt for a massive stretch of time outside of Brunson and DiVincenzo. I mean, and Hart. It's been unbelievable. Other than the Nova guys, everybody's been hurt. I think they'll beat Indiana. They'll get crushed by Boston. But, you know, they bring back this team and, like, they actually have some health for once. They could be pretty interesting next year because they're missing a lot of like that. That's the one thing as a Knicks fan that has annoyed me. When they played the Sixers and Embiid's out there trying to kill guys and he's 75%. And people are like, look at how gutty the Sixers are. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, the Knicks are missing their second best player. Yeah. And Bogdanovich got hurt 1 minute into game 4. Robinson is walking around with what we now know is a cracked ankle. And people are like, yeah, but Embiid, you know, I mean, he's tired and stuff. You know, my God, like the Knicks are more beat up than the Sixers are. It's not even close. So, and by the way, I know everybody's thrilled to talk about the Knicks right now. But
yeah, it's that basketball show now. This is what we turned into.
Hey, look, guys, it's May. You know, believe me, we're going to get into something much more unpleasant about the Chiefs right now than the Knicks. So, yeah, I'm happy about the Knicks for sure.
Good. Glad to hear it. I always like to kick off the show with a little something other than football because we are going to spend the majority of this show obviously talking about football. Chiefs wrapped up rookie minicamp. Obviously, the night before we are sitting down to record this, Rashee Rice, it was out that he has now another alleged incident. So we will talk about that. Not a ton of details, but we will discuss that. And the NFL schedule release is coming out pretty soon. Tentatively scheduled for May 15th, was supposed to be this week, and then it was pushed reportedly. We'll talk about the schedule release as well. But first, let's start with the Rashee Rice news. Let's get that out of the way first, because I think that's probably good. I don't know if we're going to spend a ton of time on it just because, Matt, there's just not a lot of information out yet. Right. At the time of recording this podcast, there's not a ton of information out yet. I'll pull up one of the news stories from WFA about it, but early preliminary reporting, I should say, not resultings. It looks like that he is under an investigation for alleged nightclub assault, and the Dallas police say Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice is under investigation for allegedly hitting a photographer at a nightclub in Dallas early Monday. So this would probably be Sunday night into Monday morning. Correct. Is what they're saying. The early hours of Monday morning after midnight on Sunday. The Dallas police sources say officers are interviewing witnesses about the incident that allegedly happened Monday at 609 North Harvard Street, which is listed as the address for Lit Kitchen and Lounge. Look, if you're at Lit Kitchen and Lounge past midnight, Matt, nothing good can happen there.
Look, like you said at the top, and it's true. It's hard to really dive into this because you don't know a whole hell of a lot. Like, it's a whole lot of, like, they're investigating and it's alleged. And even if Rice, let's just live in a world for a second, which is completely hypothetical, that, like, Rice punched this guy in the face, okay? Why did he punch him in the face? Like, I don't know. Did this guy punch Rashee Rice in the face? Like, there's a lot of, like, I don't know exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're staying in this hypothetical world, that Rashee Rice was involved in some capacity, bro, maybe it's time to, like, sit inside and play Mario Kart for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe just do that, okay? Because you are already dealing with a very, very, very serious situation from earlier in the offseason where you drove your car like a missile down the freeway in Dallas on a Saturday evening, and you're really fortunate you didn't kill somebody, okay? And by the way, then just left the scene not knowing how much damage you may have done if you killed somebody, if somebody needed critical help. I'm going to choose words carefully here. He is a young man. He is not a kid. That is the one thing about all this stuff. I keep seeing people like, well, he's a kid and he's not a kid. He is not a kid. He is a young man. Doesn't mean that he's exempt from making a mistake, having a lapse in judgment. But, like, making a mistake is breaking up with your girlfriend via text, okay? That's a mistake. Driving your car 120 miles an hour, crashing it, and then being like, hey, man, hope everybody's good. See ya. That's not a mistake. Like, that is a massive, massive character flaw, okay? That's what that is. Now, well, as far as this is concerned, with the allegation of assault here of a photographer, don't know what happened. Don't even know if he's involved. So, like, to really go down this rabbit hole is unfair because we're not sure what's happening. That being said, if he did something that rises to the level of a crime, if he was involved and committed a crime here, and first of all, there's probably going to be video at some point. Like, right. if somebody like Rashee Rice punched somebody at a nightclub or outside of a nightclub, there's probably going to be video. We live in a world where everyone has a cell phone camera. There's a million security cameras.
Right, yeah.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, if that happens, then you go to with the Chiefs. What do the Chiefs do? Like, I've seen some people say, well, would they just cut him? I don't think they're going to cut him because, frankly, he's really talented. And they just spent a second-round pick on him. And if that sounds callous, it's because it's the NFL and, like, that's the world we live in. If he was a seventh-round pick who did nothing last year, he'd be long gone already, okay? He's a second-round pick who had almost 1,000 yards receiving on a Super Bowl team. I don't think they're going to cut him. I also don't think that this is going to change much of the league discipline that's probably coming down at some point. Like, maybe if it was going to be 6 games, maybe now it's 8. If it was going to be 8, I think it's probably still 8. Maybe it's 9 or something like that. I don't think it's going to massively alter things. I don't think all of a sudden he's not going to play this year. I don't think that's going to happen. But if I'm the Chiefs, I would seriously consider, like, bringing him into the building here, which you would imagine he'll be around for OTAs, or not mandatory, but you'd think he'd be there. Like, hey, man, maybe you stay in Kansas City until the season starts. Like, we'll pay for you to do that. I mean, because my first inclination was if he's found to be involved here, does the team just suspend him? But then I thought to myself, the last thing that kid needs is less structure and more free time, if that's the case. Right? Like, I think the natural inclination for a lot of people, including me, was like, maybe they ought to just take matters into their own hands and suspend him. But then what? Now he's not around the organization. He's not in the program, essentially. He's probably in Dallas. Like, the last thing that I actually went against my own rule. I called him a kid. The last thing that young man needs is to not be around structure right now. That's the last thing he needs. So if I'm the Chiefs, like I'm having a very, very, very serious conversation with him, really regardless of what comes out of this investigation. Like, hey man, maybe you don't stay in Dallas the rest of the offseason.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
So I want to give a hat tip to WFAA in Dallas. They've been doing a lot of the reporting on this incident, on the incident that originally occurred with Rashee Rice. They've been kind of at the forefront of it. The thing about this story that I was reading to you guys from WFAA in Dallas is that it is two lines. It is two graphs of information about what we have right now. That sources say that he allegedly hit a photographer and where it was at.
Right.
That is all of the information that is out right now. The rest of the
guy went
story,
to the hospital.
I didn't see that.
I read the report. That maybe it wasn't WFAA, but the guy who was assaulted allegedly went to the hospital.
I think I saw a picture. There's also been a lot of stuff flying around on socials from pictures and screenshots and there is. But this one seemed just like, well, what are we doing here? I did see a guy with an ice pack to his face. I think is the picture that I saw that was going around on Twitter. But the rest of this article, I mean, it's a good lengthy article, is about his other charge he has ongoing. And that's another thing is that if this was anybody else, if this was any other person, I mean, you would think that they would likely be screwed in the court of the law. We'll see how it plays out. Again, not a whole lot to comment on specifically regarding this conversation or this situation itself, because at the time when we're recording this podcast at 8:30 in the morning on Wednesday, just to date it a little bit for you, There's not a lot of information. That's just kind of where we're at right now. I don't want to. Obviously, not a great decision. Why are you out at 2:30 in the morning on a Monday? Beats me. But not a lot going on right now. Matt, I think you said.
Yeah.
It was well said. I don't want to, in the sake of not repeating anything, we'll move on to the Chiefs wrapping up rookie mini camp. I mean, just a weekend little camp that they had. We don't need to talk about Rashee Rice anymore. I hope we don't get to talk. You know what? I hope I don't have to talk about Rashee Rice off-field issues anymore. That's what I hope. That's not going to happen. But I hope that we don't have to do that. And we're going to try to not do that by talking about Chiefs rookie minicamp. They wrapped it up. It was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Quick little 3-day camp for the rookies, kind of getting the swing of things, everything. No contact is also a part of it as well. So kind of hard to really tell, especially with offensive line, what they can and can't really do. Andy Reid spoke really highly of the camp. He thought everything went well. Now, I obviously don't think that Andy Reid would come in and be like, this camp sucked. These guys suck. I don't think he would do that.
I'm obviously glad he didn't, because I would not.
Right.
But I want one coach in the league to do that. I want one coach in the league to just walk to the podium, but guys, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. This fucking class is a disaster. And frankly, I'm living on borrowed time. And with that, the floor is yours. That would be awesome. I would send that guy with 2,000 words in a long column at SI.
I'm trying to think who the coach would be. Who's the candidate? I could see Mike McDaniel say that, and everyone be like, this guy's funny.
No, I thought it would absolutely be Mike Tomlin.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Mike Tomlin, I just say he's walking the podium, baby. It's not good. Not going to lie to you. It's not good. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody obviously Vrabel? I feel like would have been that guy, but he's not sure. We live in a different age. I feel like years ago, not that would have happened, but it would have had a much higher possibility of happening. Like Bill Parcells,
right?
Just walking up there and being like, "This guy sucks." Next, but no, I think unfortunately those days are probably past. Sean Payton, maybe.
That he came into my, because then you said I would defend him, and I was like, well, not going to be Sean Payton then.
Is it Sean Payton? I wonder if Bo Nix goes out and just stinks the first 2 weeks of training camp. If it's one of those deals where the reporters are asking Peyton every day after practice, how you feeling? It didn't look like it went that well. And Peyton just no, yeah, I'll be all right. And then there's a day Nix throws 4 picks in a 7-on-7 drill. And at that point, Sean Payton's just what do you want me to say? It's terrible. I just feel I feel like that could be an interesting midsummer little plot line there.
Did you see the picture I tweeted out of like this AI picture of Bo Nix standing over like Isaiah Pacheco? That like I found from like Broncos Facebook that was like popped up. It was just like I was like, what are we doing? And it's like our time is now. I think that's what the caption was. It was like Bo Nix. That's what you're gonna go with, Bo Nix? Sorry.
I also have a lot of questions about that graphic. Like,
yeah, it's
why is he playing above Isaiah Pacheco? Like, what is he playing special teams? Did they?
He probably has to because he can't be a quarterback.
Like why? Why is he standing over Isaiah Pacheco? Also, like that, like the Photoshop job on it's awful. Like the jersey's all wrong. Like it just. But yeah, I also saw some random Broncos fan like just arguing his heart out that Marvin Mims is a better player than Rashee Rice. And you're like, look, man.
Oh my gosh.
Like I understand, like Rashee Rice right now, you're in a spot where you take some shots, Rashee Rice. I'm like, fair enough. But some of this stuff, like we do live in an age, I guess technically the information age, where people have too much of an ability to communicate. We need to limit the communication. Like we really do, man. There are certain people who just should not have the ability to make communication to the outside world. Like,
yeah.
And the sad part is, like, some of these people build up a legitimate following. Like, you see these accounts, and it's a lot of, like, these aggregator accounts, too, like the NFL Rums and NFL Rookie Watch. And, like, I'm blocked by half of them because I've just called them out repeatedly, and then they just block you. Like, it's... And they'll be like, I'll tell you what. Sources are saying, it's like, all right, I'm going to tell you something right now. None of these people have a source. None of them. Not one of them. There's a 0.000% chance any of these guys have a source. And then you also have like these fan accounts, which like, I can live with that a little bit more because you're a fan and like that's cool.
Yeah.
But you're so incredibly disingenuous that it's over the top to a point where you're like you'll see like a lot of them are like, you get like a Bills account, like not obviously like the team, but like a fan account. It'll be like, you know, if Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes switched spots, Allen would have 5 titles and Mahomes wouldn't have any. And you're like, I got to tell you, I don't think that's true. Nothing against Josh Allen, is a great player, but like, you don't think Josh Allen's been surrounded by talent over the last 4 or 5 years? You kidding me? Like, all I ever hear about is how Bean is this genius of a general manager, and like every year they're a Super Bowl favorite. Like, they have no talent now because he hasn't won anything. It's kind of like the argument around Herbert and the Chargers. Now, the Chargers don't have any fans, so there's no fan accounts. But if there were, I'd imagine you'd get a whole lot of this. Like, what is he supposed to do? And it's like, well, he's, for starters, don't blow a 27-point lead in the playoff game.
No.
Just for starters. It's Twitter is an absolute cesspool. And Instagram and TikTok and all the rest of that crap. Snapface, as Belichick called it, is no better.
It is insanely wild about the excuses that Justin Herbert gets. I think he gets more excuses than any other quarterback out there would be Justin Herbert, because he's just it blows me away every time that people are like, well, it's not Justin Herbert's fault. Yeah, it kind of is. If he would have scored like a single point or like got him, I don't know about that playoff game. I mean, it's just like he gets more. It's like with Josh Allen. Josh Allen got more credit for the 13 seconds game, for losing the 13 seconds game, than Patrick Mahomes got for like winning the 13 seconds game. It's like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing?
We have to stop grading professional sports on a curve. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
They're professional athletes. This isn't like if I went and tried to guard, I don't know, Anthony Edwards, and he scored 70 points on me in a quarter, and I happened to just like whale 2 threes at the hoop and by some miracle hit them. And then people are like, well, yeah, to be fair, Verderame had 6 points. Yeah, like, yeah, that's nice. Anthony Edwards hit 70. And it's like, but maybe I get some credit because I'm just like this washed up 35-year-old guy who has no business hitting a 3 in a game. Like, Josh Allen and every other player in the NFL is an NFL player. They don't get credit for like almost doing something. They lost. Nobody in Kansas City is like, you know, it was a great year, 2020. That team was 14-1 before they lost a meaningful game, or a non-meaningful game, excuse me. Then beat the Browns with Mahomes missing half the game in the playoffs. Blew the doors off of the Bills in the AFC title game, and then got shellacked in the Super Bowl because they were all beat up and Tampa played great and all the rest of it. No one in Kansas City is like, man, awesome season. That would be the best year some franchises have ever had. And Chiefs fans are like, we're going to talk about that. Like, Allen, I feel like Trevor Lawrence kind of fits that bill too, where it's like,
yes,
man, he great quarterback. It's like, is he a great quarterback? I don't know. Like, I think he's very good. Herbert's an incredibly talented quarterback who I think, yes, like with Harbaugh now, will probably start to see some results here. Like, I will grant him that. But, like, what is Herbert's biggest career accomplishment? Blowing a 27-0 lead in a playoff game to Jacksonville? I don't know. Like,
that's his only playoff game, right? Like, he hasn't had another playoff game.
Correct. The biggest game other than that he's ever played in was that game they lost to the Raiders in the last play of overtime.
That's right.
That was the biggest game, which he was awful in for 3 quarters. Tua, same kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Led the league in passing yards. Yeah, that's nice. So did Matt Schaub. Tua can't beat anybody when the other team's good or the weather's below 90 degrees. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's again, the word comes up, like disingenuous. It's disingenuous. At what point are we just like, look, man, I mean, that's all fine and stuff, but like, you gotta actually win. Like, that's why I'll give Burrow credit. Like, people love like Burrow. Hey, that guy wins big games. He's the only guy in years to beat Mahomes in a meaningful game. Okay, like he does it. Burrow gets the job done. He won a bunch of playoff games. You want to talk about a guy who had some issues? I mean, my God, they've never been able to block, and he still wins. But like, yeah, I'm sorry, miss me with the whole like, man, you know what? Josh Allen just had 3 more All Pros around him. Can he win a playoff game at home against Burrow or Mahomes? Can you do it once? Like, I mean, I think it's a fair ask.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
All of that to say about the Chiefs when it comes to rookie minicamp, it seems like people are obviously... Captain Obvious is checking in here to this podcast. Other fan bases don't want to see the Chiefs succeed, right? And so the clip was going around. PJ Green tweeted out of Xavier Worthy's first clip of training camp. And people were jump. I saw it on Ghetto Gronk, the Instagram page. I saw it on NFL memes. I saw it going everywhere. If you haven't seen Xavier Worthy's first rep, runs a great route, doing a great route in the drill. Ball thrown to him, ball thrown a little high, not unreasonably high, but it tips off of his hands and goes behind him. So obviously PTSD for some Chiefs fans out there when it comes to just a wide receiver having a ball glance off his hands. I don't know if I was surprised by the reaction from every 31 other fan base out there. Because to me, it was kind of the same reaction. I chuckled a little bit. I was like, of course. I mean, yeah, like that. That's what's going to happen. But man, people really, especially Bills fans are already declaring that they won the trade. I don't know if you've seen this, Matt. They've already won the trade. Because of that one rep in rookie minicamp of them in shorts and t-shirts. They won the trade. But all of that for me to say, it's not that serious. Like this rookie minicamp, great to have the guys in there. Great to get them into football shape, football flow of things. Not that serious. But I do think that it is funny to see when something happens like that, how 31 other teams just jump on of just like wanting the Chiefs to fail. I think it's funny. I enjoy it, truthfully.
Church bells were ringing in Buffalo, in Cincinnati. I don't know that they'd even bothered ringing them in Denver. But it's still holding a funeral for their dignity and hope.
Right.
Look, I don't care that he dropped the ball at Rookie May. I just don't care, man.
Right.
Like, I also don't care that after that, people the next day were like, he bounced back and looked great. Like, it's fine. I mean, it's rookie minicamp. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the picture the Chiefs took and posted on Twitter of like all the draft picks. Xavier Worthy looks like a 7-year-old next to Sua Mataia.
They did that on purpose, man. They did that on purpose.
Yeah, like they have like 3 offensive linemen in the picture. Like Xavier Worthy's in between them. Like, man, he's a small guy. Like, and now you're putting him here. No, I feel the same way every year about minicamp, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and training camp. I don't care what the highlights and lowlights are coming out of it. Just don't get hurt. That's it. Don't get seriously hurt. Like, whenever I see, like training camp, I give Chiefs fans a lot of credit for this. Chiefs fans are ridiculous with this stuff and have been for years. Where there are like people that are like stationed at training camp that just tweet out like minute by minute like updates as like everything's going on, which I genuinely I find intriguing. I don't ever care about like this guy made a one-handed catch or this guy dropped the pass, because like look, over the course of like a month and a half, like everybody's gonna have the highlights and the lowlights for sure. The thing I care about is like, oh God, so and so's down. Like that's just if the Chiefs lose the 3 preseason games, if they lose by 100 points, but everybody's healthy, I'm good. But just get out of it. Doesn't matter. Like I would defy most people right now. Who did they play in the preseason last year?
I couldn't tell you.
Who the hell cares? And God, I couldn't tell you, did they win the game? Did they I remember that they played the Saints because I remember I was like a Lions.
Lost by a point against the Saints. Yeah, I remember that.
They lost in like hilarious fashion.
Yeah,
they had it won, and then but like the only reason I remember that was I was actually at Lions training camp as part of my training camp tour, and it was up on like every TV in the media room, and I remember I was just like laughing watching the end of the game. Like, but yeah, I mean the point is like with rookie camp, you just get feet wet. A little bit of the playbook, learn handful of your teammates, get in there before OTAs. But like, I don't think you're going to walk out of training or rookie minicamp, good or bad, go, man, huge statement was made.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't happen.
Again, they're just in t-shirts and shorts too. Like, there's no contact. There's zero contact done. So especially for like the offensive line, and you can only basically play 7-on-7. So it's just like, what are the offensive linemen doing over there? Throwing medicine balls to each other? Yeah. And that's pretty much it. But look, there's not a ton you could take away from rookie camp. It is good to see Andy Reid come out there and say good things about Jared Wiley specifically. Was one of the guys he talked very highly about. Was very impressed with his pass catching ability, everything like that. So look, I mean, overall, I think it was a successful camp. That's the little bit of like football little morsel that we get for a little bit before they start with OTAs. And I think mandatory OTAs are at the beginning of June. I think voluntary OTAs start at like the end of May. If I remember correctly, I don't have the dates up in front of me.
Yeah.
But I think that like all of that's starting in June, and then obviously training camp at the end of July into August.
So I think, in fact, I'll pull it up real quick because I believe I might be going to one of these events for SI. Yeah, I've got. Actually, we're talking later today about our NFL preview, and not to break news. I think I'll be writing something on Chiefs. All right, so OTA offseason workouts May 20th to 22nd, May 28th through the 30th, June 4th through the 7th, and mandatory minicamp is June 11th through the 13th.
Gotcha.
There you go.
There is.
So. And then training camp will start. I don't think that date's been released, but it's usually around like July 25th, like somewhere in there. And like rookies and quarterbacks will show up first for a few days, and then like the other guys will trickle in, and they'll have like their first like full practice like July 28th or 29th or something. But yeah, by the way, and not to take a left turn, but I know we're going to get a scheduled release here in a second because that's coming out next week. Did you see the NBC Sports graphic about the best rivalries in the NFL?
Yes, I did.
It is a staggering graphic. It is truly like, I am not in the business of getting on other media members because I wouldn't want them to do it to me because God knows I've had some really dumbass opinions. Okay?
For sure. I agree.
This graphic...
Not about your opinions, my opinions is what I'm saying.
Oh, no. My opinions are... Listen, I've had many memeable opinions. Okay? I am by no means exonerating myself. Bro, this graphic is a staggering... Like, I actually looked at it 3 separate times to make sure I was reading it correctly before I responded to it. So NBC Sports put out a graphic that has... In fact, here, I'm going to pull it up because I want to make sure I like word for word have this right. So, here we go. Got it. No problem.
Oh, well, I just saw who did it. So that makes sense.
It's staggering. Even by it's just... So, NBC tweets out, Mike Florio and Chris Sims ranked the NFL's top rivalries going into 2024. And then there's the graphic. And on one side of the graphic is Florio's and the other side is Sims. Now, I will start with Chris Sims. Chris Sims has Chiefs-Bengals, which I think is completely fair.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles-Niners, which I don't know if that's a huge rivalry, but like defendable. Like they just played in the NFC title game. Okay, fine. Yeah. Then also has Chiefs-Niners, which of the 3, it's like you could argue it in the sense like they've played 2 of the last 5 Super Bowls. I don't know that I'd sit there and make it's a rivalry.
Right.
But, okay, I guess. Then we go to the left side of this graphic. So Mike Florio, we get there's 2 Chiefs ones. We get the non-Chiefs one out of the way. It's the Packers and the Lions, which it's a divisional rivalry, but is that really a rivalry?
Not really.
Have the Lions ever been a rival to the Packers?
No.
So, my first thought was that seems odd, right? You could argue Packers-Bears, the oldest rivalry in the NFL. You could argue a lot of different ways, right?
Packers-Bears probably would have made more sense with the buzz the Bears are getting right now.
Yeah, but I'm all right, it's a divisional thing. Okay. Then you get Chiefs-Bills, which, okay, I mean, the Chiefs beat the Bills when it counts, but all right, look, they've had some great games and no problem. Not a problem with that. Then we get to the one that melted my face off. I saw this and I was like, what? Chiefs-Chargers, which I still don't understand. Somebody responded because I quote tweeted and gave a little thought on it. And somebody was like, well, maybe they meant historically. And I was like, that still makes no sense. The Chargers have never had a rivalry with the Chiefs, ever, at any point in time. When the Chiefs were great in the 60s, the Chargers were good. Chargers were very good in the early 60s, to be clear, when the Chiefs are kind of for the most part. And then the Chiefs were very good in the late 60s, and the Chargers sucked. And then both teams, the Chiefs were very good in the first 2 years of the 70s, and then sucked for 20 years. The Chargers were very good in the late 70s, early 80s, and otherwise also sucked for 20 years. The 90s, the Chiefs were excellent, and outside of one random year at the Chargers in the 94 year, they sucked forever. These 2 teams have never had a rivalry. It's like saying the Chiefs and Seahawks had a big AFC West rivalry. They never did. So the historical side of this argument's gone out the window. But then, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, am I nuts? Have the Chargers won more than I thought recently? I went back and looked. The last 20 matchups, the Chiefs have won 17 of them. And one of the games the Chargers won was with Chad Henne involved because it meant nothing.
Yeah.
How in God's name is that one of the 3 best rivalries in the NFL? Niners, Rams, Eagles, Cowboys? Neither one of them picked Eagles, Cowboys. I was just floored by that. I mean, if we want to talk historically speaking, then there's a million other choices to go. If that's historically speaking, and you went Chiefs-Chargers over Chiefs-Raiders, the questions just are unending. I was blown away by that choice for a rivalry.
It's almost like he wants Chiefs fans to like him again. He's like, so I'm going to put you guys have the best rivalries. I'm going to put you Chiefs Chargers. If I remember correctly, wasn't Blaine Gabbert's win in week 17 against the Chargers? Week 18,
yes.
Against the Chargers last year?
Yes.
So, one of those wins, you mentioned one of the losses was Chad Henne. Blaine Gabbert has one of the wins against the Chargers as well. So I get the Bills and the Chiefs one. Look, going into 2024, so that they captioned the tweet. NFL top rivalries going into 2024. There's that whole layer of the trade and everything that goes into that. There's I don't get. I don't know what's the intrigue of that rivalry. Like they got Jim Harbaugh. Like that's what they got. Like I don't know a single Chiefs fan that is concerned about that.
I don't even know a Chiefs fan that cares about the Chargers. Genuinely, right? I don't know one fan that I gotta watch out for LA this year. Like I mean the Bills and the Bengals. To be fair to Florio on this one, because you picked the Bill, like fine. That has been for the last 5 years. You could argue that's been the best rivalry in the NFL the last 5 years. Now, I would argue if you're a Chiefs fan, you probably shouldn't have said the Bengals are the bigger rival because like they've actually beaten the Chiefs when it matters. For sure, those are fine. Those are fair enough. How in God's name do you not have the Eagles and the Cowboys? Like, neither one has the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Niners and the Rams feels like that ought to be in there. Like, if you're going historically speaking, and I'm not going to go too big down the wormhole here, but my God, man, there's a million that you would go bigger than that, right? I mean, you would, first of all, there's 5 in the AFC West alone that are bigger than that. And then, like, the other ones we've already mentioned, Packers, Bears, Niners, Rams, Saints, Falcons. Like, I know, like, nationally, that's not a huge one. That is like a blood feud down there, down south. The Giants and the Eagles, the Giants and the Cowboys, the Commanders and the Cowboys, one of the great rivalries in NFL history, right? Like, there are so many choices. Jets, Dolphins in the East Coast is a huge one. Ravens, Steelers, one of the great rivalries. Like, Browns, Bengals. The Bengals literally exist because of the Browns. If you don't understand that, go check that out. That'll give you something to do at work today. Like, Steelers, Browns, geographically speaking, it's a huge rivalry.
Right.
And we ended up with Chiefs, Chargers. I do appreciate, however, that the Chiefs were in 4 of the 6 rivalries. Apparently the Chiefs just rivals with everyone. Like, they should have just saved time and just put, like, Chiefs and then, like, an NFL logo. They're like, at this point, it's just Kansas City against the whole league. Just everyone involved. Yeah, sure, Chiefs, Panthers. Fuck it. One of the biggest rivalries in the NFL. And this year, the Panthers get to reclaim past glory when they play them at Bank of America.
Well,
Lord,
that's one thing I wanted to talk about because, like, we got a few more minutes here. But on the European side of the schedule, because we know the Chiefs were slated to play 2 European games, the Panthers will be hosting a game in Munich, and you know who the Chiefs have as an away opponent? Carolina Panthers. So will they be playing the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young in Munich? It looks likely that could happen.
Does World War III start? Does World War III start because they sent the Panthers to Germany?
Germany got an awesome game last year. Germany got a great game.
They did.
A great game.
And they stepped
on was not as good.
And the fans were awesome.
They were.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like Germany's going to be like, hey, look. Like, we're not looking for international conflict, but, like, the Panthers, really? Yeah. It's the same way I felt like I thought like the Revolutionary War could break out again when the Jags were going over to England every year. Yeah. And England was like, hey, guys, anybody who can play football would be great. Hey, look, I'm not opposed to it. I thought it was a hell of a lot of fun when the Chiefs went over to Germany. You know? And the Chiefs themselves seem to really enjoy it. So, I don't know if they'll play over there just because, like, will the NFL make the Chiefs go across the pond, so to speak, again? But if you're the Chiefs, like, it's a road game. Now, like, last year's was a home game.
Right.
So if you're the Chiefs, you're that upset about it? I don't know. I mean, maybe you don't care, right?
They have one more away game this year, too, than they would have a home game.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, they get the Bengals at home, the Texans at home, Saints at home, Bucks at home, Ravens at home.
Yep.
Those are obviously outside of AFC West. You don't have to, like, talk about those. They have
the biggest rival there is with the Chargers coming to town.
Right.
Get up for that game. Here come the Chargers. Yeah.
And the week 2 game that they're going to host against they probably won't host week 2 because they're going to host week 1. Probably against the Texans, right?
I know I
think it's the Texans.
Me too.
I think it has to be. Like, look at the Ravens. That could be fun, but, like, I don't know. They probably won't do that. Looking on the NFC side, like I don't think they're going to do the Bucks. I don't think they're going to do the Saints.
That'd be hilarious if it was the Saints. Here comes Derek Carr and company. Just that'd be awesome. She should beat him by 30 points, start the season. You're like, all right.
It has to be the Texans because they're going to make the Bengals a late game.
I agree. I think the Bengals
make it matter.
Are like November, December.
Yeah. I don't think there's any other choice. They're not going to start with a division game, I don't think. Like they're not going to do, all right, here's the Broncos.
No.
Week 1.
No, God, no. Especially not them. Like, you hear Bo Nix,
Imagine Bo Nix's first NFL game being a banner drop night on Thursday night.
Arrowhead Stadium. Just getting absolutely smoked by Spagnuolo. Like, that would be unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of rooting for that now.
Bo, listen, buddy. You're going to go to Arrowhead for your first start. They're going to drop the banner. The Chiefs are going to be unbelievably jacked up for this game. And, oh, by the way, you're going to get Spagnuolo bringing like 12 guys on a blitz half the game. Good luck. Have fun. Would be magical. No, I think it's Houston. I mean, look, if you're one of these teams that plays the Chiefs, you're hoping it's you because you're probably not going to see Rashee Rice. Like, I mean, forget even after the latest allegation, but probably, I mean, if you're playing the Chiefs, you probably want to see them the first half of the year, right? Like when they're still kind of settling it. Now, that being said, and we can close it on this note, I will say, like Rashee Rice, look, forget even the latest allegation, like just in general. He's probably going to get suspended. I think we all agree on that. Of course, we don't know the timing of it, but, there's a very good chance he's suspended and potentially at the beginning of the year. I've seen Chiefs fans, because some have even asked me, like, do you think they can survive it? Yes. They have a top 5 defense in the NFL. Even without Snead, I still think it's going to be a top 5 defense. And offensively, they do now, like, they are set up better than they were a year ago. They have Marquise Brown. They have, obviously, Kelsey and Pacheco. They also have Xavier Worthy. Like, right. I think, look, they won the Super Bowl last year with Tucker and I receiver next to Rashee Rice. Like, yes. I will say, though, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to add, like, a veteran guy here. Like, it would not be the worst, even if it's just a guy who just kind of is like, maybe 500 yards for the year, but like McCall Hardman. Like, just somebody who you can go, hey, man, I can throw him 5 passes in a game, and he's probably going to catch 4 of them and give me, like, 45 yards. Like, right. Just that guy. Like, I think he's fun. But if Rashee Rice misses, like, half the year or something, like, yeah, I think they'll be. I mean, when they won their first Super Bowl, Tyreek Hill missed half the year. Like,
that's true.
I think they'll be all right.
That's true. All right, well, next week when we come back, we will have a schedule. Hopefully, because the NFL seems to be
doing running up the schedule release.
Oh, that's right. Well, I guess we won't have a schedule. Maybe we'll postpone.
Maybe we'll get leaked. I'll text everybody I know with the Chiefs and see if somebody will just leak us the schedule. We can break it live on KCSN.
We can do it on that.
Get the ratings up for the people. That's right. Go to the live streams. I just read off the schedule. I promise not to divulge. Hey, sorry, man. Got to do it. Here we go. Week 1.
That's perfect. But we'll be back next week talking some more schedule. We didn't get into it a lot. We had to dunk on the Broncos. We had to dunk on Florio. Look, the usual suspects. We had to do it. But we appreciate you guys listening to that football show for this week on KC Sports, presented by Holiday Distillery and Ben Holiday Bottled and Bottled Bourbon. For Matty V, Matt Verderame, I'm Tucker Franklin. We'll talk to you guys next week.